All right. Hello. Hello. Welcome to Monday's edition of Boss Up. We're not usually here on Mondays, but I am so excited to hang out and really talk about how to build financial abundance in your lives. And I have such a special guest who I've learned so much from. Um, I've got to attend a lot of her events where she talks about building wealth and abundance. So I'm excited to have Dr. Raquel Tolson. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Were you able to hear me? Okay.
Yeah, so she actually has a couple of businesses, right? You have two
Okay.
businesses. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Well, first of all, I have a day job. I have a 9 to 5. Well, not really 9 to 5, but I'm 9 to 5. I'm a pharmacist, right? But then I also I'm a financial educator, and I teach people how to use a living benefit policy to protect their wealth and also to grow their wealth in ways that they may not have known about. Using a living benefit policy. Some people don't even know what a living benefit policy is, and I guess we'll talk about that later. But then my other business, I'm a self-published
Yeah.
author. I'm a self-published author. Yeah, so it's actually a business. Like you just not just writing. You got to do a whole lot of other stuff too. But I do that also. Yeah.
So tell us about all that big language you used earlier.
You said the big
I
language.
want to hear about
So
that. What
are
does
you?
that
Are you?
mean? It
Mhm,
sounds like something very important to have in our lives, but
mhm. So the living benefits policy, what a living benefit policy is basically a life insurance policy that you don't have to die to use. Because everybody thinks about life insurance, the typical regular life insurance, traditional,
oh,
is you have to die and then your family gets the money, which is still a great thing. Don't get me wrong, everybody needs to have a policy, but a living benefits policy is just a little bit better because if you get sick, and let's just be honest, most of us get sick before we die. And some of us get real, real sick and then we don't die. And then we got to deal with all the bills and hospital bills and the stuff and missing work and people lose houses because people get sick, right? So with the living benefit policy, you can accelerate your death benefit and use it for not just any illness. It depends on the different companies, but the majority of them, like cancer, and that's any stage, right? Heart attacks, strokes, um, Alzheimer's. One of the companies, they will, Alzheimer's, and I don't know, I have an aunt that is dealing with it, and it costs a lot of money when you have Alzheimer's because you put somebody in a home, they want extra money. Or you want somebody to come into the house, they want extra money if the person has Alzheimer's. So for that, and it's, a few other things, but the whole thing is I started because my aunt got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and it was sarcoma of the lung. And we were like, we're just gonna focus on living, cause and she had some trips she wanted to take. But we went on a one trip to Hawaii and we had a great time. But then her husband was like, yeah, we're not gonna spend up, the credit card to go on these trips. And I'm thinking to myself, if she would have had a living benefit policy, she would have been able to accelerate that money because you can use that money for anything you want, even your bucket list. If you've told you only have,
hmm.
you know, a year or two to live. So yeah, living benefits policy is something that we all should have.
Okay. Okay. What other ways do you suggest of like helping
Oh,
people should be thinking about to
I kind of missed out what your question was. I'm sorry. I'm having a bad connection. What was the question again?
What other way should people build wealth? What are ways for building wealth?
Okay. So when I talk about building wealth, the first thing I start with is your mindset. Like, how should I say it? Your mindset has to be in you can't have a limited mindset when you talk about wealth, right? Because if you do, like me sharing about life insurance stuff, you're not going to really listen to me because you've heard that not to use it, right? So you have to like expand and like just listen and with the trying to get knowledge and not just listen and be like no I ain't gonna, things like that. So you have to change your mindset when you think about building wealth. Also, like, so not just with the life insurance things, but even just getting like out of like me, quitting my job as a pharmacist to step out and do something different. I know how much I can make as a pharmacist, right? It's not the money that I want to make. But if I get out of that job and go to something else where
Right,
it's, you know, it's limitless how much I can make. There's no cap. Nobody is saying you
right,
can only make this month this year, right? But I had to change my mindset to be able to get out that comfortable job that I know for a fact they're gonna give me this amount of money and go and do something else. That's a mindset thing, right? So building wealth requires you to have an open mindset. And then so because I'm a Christian, everything I do is about faith, right? And so a mindset. I just watched the movie One of Them Days with Kiki Palmer and SZA, and it was so, I was like, whoever wrote this is a Christian and know her Bible, right? Because it was basically the story of the widow with the
right,
oil. They needed to pay some rent, and they was out trying to get do all these things to get this rent money when the answer was in the house. Just like in the Bible, the man said, "What you got in the house?" And she said, "All I got is some oil." And then when he blessed the oil, right? Because she had to do some things, and then that oil was the thing that, and in that movie,
the scriptures.
the pace. Listen, it's a mindset thing, right? So that's the first thing I teach people when it's talk about wealth. But then the other one is with the life insurance. So I believe in using everything. I'm not gonna tell you not to do anything, but with a life insurance policy, it's your base. I used to go to Bishop Noel Jones, and he used to always say substratum, the foundation of a thing. A good living benefit policy and an indexed account is like a great foundation to build your wealth on because that money is going to grow with the stock market, but you can't lose it in the stock market. And anything that you can lose should not be your foundation, because that's like building your house on a sandy land. Oh, I used to sing this song when we was little. Don't build your house on a sandy land. Don't build it too near the shore. Oh, it might look kind of nice, but you'll have to build it twice. Oh, you'll have to build your house once more, right? And it says build your house upon a rock, right? And I'm not saying that the life insurance is a rock like God, right? But
Right,
it
definitely.
is an indexed account is because you can't lose your money. You might not gain money, but you cannot lose what you already have. So that is a good foundation to build your wealth on. And then you go get the house. And not just the house. So what my story is, I moved from Orlando to Los Angeles. And if anybody knows about Los Angeles, the real estate is crazy. It's expensive. So moving from Orlando then, and this was back in 2006,
Yes.
I had a $250,000 house. I couldn't even get a condo for 250,000 in a nice neighborhood in LA. So I was just like, I guess we won't live in a house. We just gonna get us a little, apartments and be fine. Mindset. Oh, see, I had to teach myself, right? But fast forward 10 years,
Right.
I was like, I really want a house. Everything was, I like, I was ready. And then I said, well, how much would I, did the pre thing? They're like, we'll give you $500,000 to buy a house. I was like, okay, that sounds good. Until I started looking, and the house that I saw, it was too much. So I started looking at condos and things. And I told my Nigerian landlord, and she was like, "Oh, we're gonna find you a house, but you need a duplex or more. Don't just buy a single family." She's like, "Cause
Wow.
you only have to put 3.5% down." She's like, "So make it count." God bless her. That was my angel. God sent her to me, right? And to make a long story short, we found a house. It was more than the $500,000 that they were going to send me. And she had to remind me that nothing was too hard for God, and that God would give me the desires of my heart. She had to what? Elevate my mindset. And guess what? I put an offer on the house. They gave it to me. And here's the thing, nobody else put an offer on the house, which is
Wow.
unheard of. Unheard of. When I was gonna put an offer on a condo, it was like 20 people that had put and so when I did that, I realized, okay, yeah, this thing works. Like, it's not just something in the scriptures to memorize. Like, God is faithful, right? When you believe. And so I wrote my book, Why Church Folk Poor. And it wasn't to condemn the church, it was just to get people in the church who are sick and tired of, living paycheck to paycheck and not get. It's like, okay, but maybe it's a faith problem and not a money problem. So
It's
these
a
are
faith problem and not a money problem.
Yeah, yeah. And here's the thing, and a lot of people will say, I got all the faith in God. And so my thing is, but do you? Because if you don't have faith in yourself, then how are you really having faith in God? It's like I said, me leaving my job as a pharmacist. I make six figures. That's not an easy job to walk away from. But I gotta have faith in the
Right.
God inside of me who orders my steps. And they say it's something
Right.
way bigger and better for you than this. Because you're miserable anyway. So it's like, okay, go out and do. So I had to have faith in God and me. The God in me, as Mary Berry say, right? And a lot of us don't. Like me thinking that I couldn't own a house in
The
LA.
God in you.
God ain't the
Yes.
same God, right? Yeah. So that's like, I don't know if I answered your question. You asked me about building wealth, and that's like the first
Thanks.
thing, though. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You talked about an index plan. What was that?
Okay. So an index account, and an index account is, you do have to use a life insurance, right? What an index account does, well, an annuity is not a life insurance policy. We have two different kind of index accounts. We have the index universal life insurance, like IUL, and then we have indexed annuities. But what they do, the companies, but there are insurance companies, and insurance companies every year they look at what the stock market did. So if the stock market goes up, they, like, say the stock market goes up 10%, they will credit your account 10%. If the stock market, the next year the stock market goes down, then they don't credit your account, but you don't lose it. So if the money was in the stock market, you would have went up, and then you would have went down. And then you go up, you go down, you go up, 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 you go down, down, side, all those things. But an index account, you can either go up or you keep your money. You go up or you keep your money, right? So it's like, that's why I say it's a great tool to make as your foundation, because you can never lose your money. So I am 55 years old. So people my age, we thinking about retirement, and having all of our money in the stock market is just not a smart thing, because if the stock market goes down when we ready to retire, so say we got $500,000 in the stock market and it's time to retire, and the stock market goes down 10%,
Mhm.
our money goes down. Or if the stock market falls drastically more, our money goes down. And if
Right.
that was money that you needed to retire on, now you're like, well, maybe I need to keep working. Or
Right.
now I gotta move. Look, now I gotta move to a country where you don't need as much money. A lot of us doing that, and hey, more power to us. So you gotta let them dollars stretch, right? But that's what an index account does. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So have an abundance mindset,
Mhm.
have faith.
Mhm.
Any other steps to building wealth?
Well, I will say, um, I read a book by Rachel Rogers. It's called "We Should All Be Millionaires." If you go read that book, I want people to read
Love
my
that
book
book.
too, but go read that book because she said some stuff that really touched me. And if anybody should be millionaires, it really should be women because most
Yeah.
women, I'm not going to put all women, but most women are when we have it, other people around us have it. We take care, we
Yeah.
will give, like in the church, women, we gonna give, we gonna give
Right.
and we gonna help people. And one of the problems with women, me included, we give, like I would say we give until it hurts, but I'll use biblical. We give from our cup and not from our overflow. Because we like, well, my
Mhm.
cup is full, so I can give a little bit. No, no, no. We
Give from
supposed
your
to give from our
overflow.
overflow. We supposed to give from the saucer. So if you don't have anything in the saucer, baby, don't give nobody nothing. I don't care. Because you're supposed to give. It's biblical. I'm not just being stingy. It's biblical. We supposed to give from our overflow. So with that said, that means we have to create overflow. Now, some of us can do it just, saving money and, not spending crazy and saving more, investing in the right things so we don't lose our money. But one of the things is we probably need to have a side hustle. We need to have a business. That's that's the
Yeah.
way because it saves you on taxes. You don't have to pay as much on taxes when you have a business. And if you when you start really doing it well and you can hire people. Now, isn't that being a blessing if you can hire somebody instead of giving somebody $5, but you can hire somebody and pay them money? Like, what?
Good.
It, and there's so many, but then we have to go back to mindset because you have people like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Because they think that it's easy to go to a job, and it's some of these jobs are sucking our souls. It's like and we just I think that we can do better for ourselves if we go out there and make. And I'm not saying that you have to be a life insurance, like salesman like me or a financial educator. You might not want to do Mary Kay or Avon because you don't want to do makeup. You might not want to do, but there's something, you could keep kids because there's some people who they need babysitters at night because they go to work and they can't find
Right.
people. And you got the space and you got an extra bedroom, them kids can go to sleep. And then you good, you can help them with their homework and you can just be a blessing to a family, but not just keeping them kids for free. You get a paycheck for it. And then
Right.
that room that the kids use, you get to write that room off because it's no longer the room for you. That's the room that you use for your babysitting business.
Right. Right. That's good.
And now you're writing off that piece and some of the utilities. If you got a TV in there with cable, you get to write some of that off. And then your cell phone, you get to write a little bit because that's how the parents get in touch with you.
Right. Right.
So that's like, Big Mama that make the good cookies and everybody like them, she needs to probably start selling some of that stuff. I don't know when you grew up, did you have a lady in your neighborhood that sold candy?
Candy.
The candy
The
lady?
candy lady. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I know our candy lady, she had, it was just a room, right? It was right at her back door, whatever little room. And then I thought about, I hope she was writing that off, or I hope she knew to write that room off because that's where she kept all her stuff that we could buy. That wasn't her space no more. That was her store. Yeah. So we,
Right.
we do
I
need to
love
do
that.
that. Hmm.
I love that. So have an abundant mindset, have faith, get a side hustle, and build that foundational
Build
that you
your
talked
future.
about.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, it's not a whole lot to do after that. That's a lot.
Yeah,
Right?
that is.
That, I mean, just number one, getting their mindset right. That's a lot because it's not just a one-time thing. I had my mindset to get that house, but I had, you would have thought that that mindset would have helped me with getting out this job. I was only supposed to do this job. It was supposed to be temporary. It was supposed to be like a few months, and I was supposed to go back. And I ended up staying 2 years.
Wow.
Like, what? And I didn't like it. And I'm just like, but the money, it was good. So, but yeah, so it's a daily thing. It's like, it's always, we're always learning, right? Oh, and let me just say, so one of the other things that, so in the book, We Should All Be Millionaires, she really does talk about a lot, like getting your side hustle and, having your business instead of counting pennies, not going to your favorite restaurant and not buying your Starbucks. Instead of doing it that way, she like, go make some money, right?
Right.
And figure out what you're good at that you can do that. Um, but it was just, the book is just so good. Like, and it was, I think everybody should, we should be millionaires. And then if you're in church, this is like where sometimes the mindset, because you're like, well, money, the love of money is the root of all evil, Raquel. You heard that one, right? Or it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven, Raquel. So some of us have some stuff in our head, in our consciousness, that keep us from being rich or keep us from even wanting to be rich. And so we gotta like think about that. Like, if we, I know if you always seem to not have enough and you working hard, you doing all the stuff, but it might be that you got some subconscious beliefs that keep you from, you know, creating wealth.
So how do we get in touch with you
Mhm.
if we want to buy a book? First, tell us the name of your books,
I got
and
so
how do we
many
get
books.
in touch with you?
Yeah. So my money books, I have Wire Church for Poor, and then I have one as it's Mind on My Money. It's a workbook, and it kind of goes through that mindset, and then the other things that I talk about, it does talk about that as Mind on My Money. It's a workbook, and then but I also do fiction. I do inspirational fiction, Christmas fiction. We have a couple of books for children, picture books. One is a bedtime prayer, and then one is affirmations. Ren's affirmations. God is good, and so am I. And then I was like, that's something that we all need to learn. Yeah. So but my books are at tolsonbooks.com, or you can go,
Mhm.
some of them, the children books, you have to go to tolsonbooks.com to get. The other books you can go to Amazon, but you can go on my website, tolsonbooks.com. You can go to raqueltolson.com, my whole name.com. That is my financial education, insurance. And then if you, there is my books are on there, and it'll take you to, a website to buy the books on that one too. Yeah. And then I'm on social media, Raquel Tolson.
And then what if, like, for the insurance, the foundation, all of that, do we go to the same place?
The RaquelTolson.com. Yes. Yes. And then we have a Money 101 that we teach a lot of this stuff. It's about an hour and 15-minute long. We do it. Actually, there's one today at 7:30 p.m. and then there's one in 2 weeks. We do it every other week. But we have a webinar if Mondays aren't good for people. I have a webinar. They can reach out to me and I can send them the webinar so they can look at it. I do meet with people. I don't have a whole lot of time because I'm still working that job. So I don't have a whole lot of time on my calendar, but I do meet with people, and it's free. Meeting with me is free. Yeah, so if they want to learn more about the building that foundation, that strong foundation, they definitely want to reach out at raqueltolson.com.
Hi, well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I
Okay.
learned so much. Yeah, I learned so
Okay.
much. I learned
I'm
so
glad. I really enjoyed being here. I was trying not to go too
much.
too too in depth for you, but mhm.
Yes, yes, yes. No, it was good. It was perfect. It was the right amount. So yes, thank you
Okay.
so much. Please reach out to her. It's time for us to fix our finances. It's time for us to fix our finances. So thank you all.